Picks on Politics. I'm Henry Rossoff in for Dan Manarino. New York's 10th congressional district is shaping up as perhaps the most competitive race in the state. Newly drawn lines include Lower Manhattan and parts of Brooklyn, and it's a crowded race, even without former Mayor de Blasio, who dropped out. These are the candidates, as well as a few others, still looking to earn Democratic votes by August 23rd. We're helping you get to know the candidates in this hotly contested primary. Today, we are focused on Elizabeth Holtzman. She's no stranger to D.C., but it's been some time since she served. When she began her first term in 1973, she was the youngest woman elected to Congress. She helped lead the impeachment proceedings against President Nixon. Later, she became the first and only woman to serve as Brooklyn's district attorney. After that, she was the New York City comptroller before leaving elected office in 1993. But now, nearly 30 years later, Elizabeth Holtzman is looking to get back in the game, and this morning, she goes on the record. Ms. Holtzman, thank you for joining us on Picks on Politics. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks to you.
Of course. Well, we just went through your political resume, which leads us to a big question. I know you've been getting it on the campaign trail. Why do you want to serve in Congress again?
Because these are really dangerous times. Not time for on-the-job training. It's time for someone with the know-how and the guts and the skill and the experience and the record to prove that they can take on the dangerous forces that are facing us. We face a Supreme Court that wants to take away women's rights, but also has put a target on the backs of all Americans, because if they can take away women's rights, they can take away anyone's rights. We have a former president who's challenging our democracy by hoping to steal the next presidential election. And then we have the MAGA Republicans that are enabling both. We have an affordability crisis in housing. We have climate control issues that are terrible. We have environmental issues. We have issues of education and affordability. There's no reason for me to come into this race except that I know I'm not a sidelines person. I can't sit by and let our country be endangered in this way without saying, I want to help and I can help. I've got practical solutions that will address these issues.
And we'll get into those solutions in a moment. Specifically, I want to ask you about abortion, which I've heard you say was the milestone that had you hop into this fight. But first, some of your opponents have sort of carefully questioned you entering this race. I want to show you a quote from a leading contender, Carlina Rivera, the councilwoman from New York City. She's 38 years old, and she said, quote, "For many people in their 40s or younger, they've only ever experienced more transience than a sense of security in their job, their benefits, their housing, and their education. I fit that category. Ms. Holtzman, you'll be 81 if you're sworn into this post. Why are you the right person for this time?"
Because I know how to get the job done. I've been there. I mean, I could be going out kayaking, having vacations. Who needs this? My best friends say the worst thing that would happen is if you get elected and you have to go down and deal with that mess. But that's been my life. I haven't stood on the sidelines while this country's been endangered. I took on President Nixon. I took on President Trump. I took on climate control. I took on issues involving racial discrimination. That nobody else would even touch. I took on gun manufacturers before anyone even heard of that issue. Many years ago, it's control of New York City.
So I don't want you to just have to spend this whole time. I appreciate that. I don't want to have you this whole time defending why you're the right person. Let's hop into these issues, especially the recent Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. It's led for some to and call for impeaching justices, a procedure that begins in the House. You know a thing or two about impeachment. Is this a mantle you would take up?
What I want to do right now is to investigate two of the justices on the court, because I think there's serious questions about their conduct. One is Brett Kavanaugh. His investigation, FBI investigation, was cut short. Why? Democrats control the House. They need to start investigations right now. They're going to take a recess in August. I think they should be investigating Brett Kavanaugh, finishing that investigation. Maybe nothing happened. Maybe he's fine. Maybe there's no issue. But the American people are entitled to know that. The same with Clarence Thomas. Thomas voted, he was the only one on the court, to vote to hide certain information. That information covered up actions of his wife. His wife may have engaged in conduct that might have been criminal. We can't have that happen. We need to know the facts. We need to know the truth. I'm prepared to do that. I'm prepared to take that on. We need those investigations. Where they lead, we don't know. But if we don't take them on, we'll never know where those investigations come. Some people want to have legislation to change the Supreme Court. That may sound fine and good, but we don't have 50 votes in the Senate to get that passed.
So investigate, maybe not go down the legislative route. I want to move on to climate change.
Correct.
You already mentioned
Correct.
it, deeply important. Oh, go ahead.
Right. I want to deal with practical solutions that will work, that could work.
So moving on to climate change, and I'm really looking forward to showing this video. You've already mentioned the kayaking on your campaign site. You show the love of kayaking and the outdoors, and you talk about, quote, innovative solutions, specifically those, to tackle climate change. What are some specific innovative solutions you will use to, quote, get things, here's the video there, you will use to get things done if you go back to Congress?
See, I could be doing that, not talking to you now.
I'm sorry. I'm not as fun as kayaking. I apologize.
But all I'm saying, no. What some of my specific proposals would be, number one is, for example, to audit the payments that are being made by oil companies and fossil fuel companies when they extract materials from public lands. It's kind of self-regulating. Nobody's checking whether they're actually paying what they owe. If they aren't paying the right amount, we could take billions, possibly, and use that money, for example, for mass transit. Wouldn't that help the environment and also cut down on some of the pollutions? But maybe the oil companies won't be so happy about extraction.
And do you see mass transit as the biggest spending priority in District 10? Mass transit biggest spending priority as far as your district?
Well, I think there's several. Well, we have cleanup of the Gowanus Canal, which is vital, and that has to be done in an environmentally sound way. We have affordable housing. We have a huge crisis in the rents that people are paying, and we don't have enough housing. So we need to do something about that. As controller, I built tens of thousands of units, financed the construction of tens of thousands of units of affordable housing. So I know how to do that. I want to expand that program. So the other thing is to stop the subsidies, tax subsidies that are going to the oil and gas industry.
So, Ms. Holtzman, I apologize to cut you off there. Stop oil subsidies, build housing, funnel money to mass transit. Got it. Sorry, have to leave it there, but thank you for joining us on Picks on Politics this morning.
Thanks so much.